You'll have a little delay.
I figured that. Yeah.
It's like 15 to 30 seconds.
Okay, but I can't. I'm anxiously waiting. This is going to be awesome whenever it happens. It's going to be way cool. I don't know. Maybe it's just freestyle. I don't know if it's even real or not.
I know, right?
But it is a good industry.
I definitely hear stuff, so it's interesting. You may not have it. Worry about that.
Good evening.
Oh, there it is.
Well, I know that there's some wonderful cookies back there, so make sure that you get some cookies or some water for your while we're doing this tonight. Also, if you're at the very far outside tables, this was filled last night, but if y'all will, come on, move on in. It doesn't look like it will be as large as last night. If y'all will move closer, it'll really help with the collaboration opportunities that are provided in this summit. So I know I've met quite a few of you. I haven't met all of you. My name is Dr. Kyle Wright. I'm the superintendent of Huntsville ISD. I've been here since January of 2015. So it seems like a short time, but the time it feels like it's gone by and a blur. But anyway, I appreciate you being here. I also want to recognize that this is a little bit, it's a large group, which is great. Great to have this many people out. We had over 200 last night, over 120 today at lunchtime. So this is another good sized crowd. So you'll have opportunities to write your answers. You'll also have opportunities to text your answers. So everybody has an opportunity tonight to provide a response. We would like for you to provide oral responses when given those opportunities, so don't hesitate to answer the questions in your groups. And then if you want to provide more answers later in a more smaller environment, you'll hear about what we call our focus groups. And that's where you'll spend about an hour with the facilitator answering some questions and also providing your input on your thoughts of HISD. So at this time, I'm going to let our board president, Patrick Anthony, welcome you to this. But thank you for being here. Mr. Anthony, here you go.
Good evening, everyone. You might look from in front, but I'm heading the rest of the meeting. But I now want to set this up this way. I want you to try to think about yourself being a very little child, very small child, maybe first grader, second grader. There will be elementary school thereabouts, maybe junior high, and then working to work for high school. That child is probably somebody that you don't know, or they're nameless, they're faceless. But one thing that is always apparent in all of our minds is that if you turn around and say that that child is your child, the first thing you will think about is that you will hope and wish for everything that they could have to be really available when they are an adult. So tonight we have asked you to come here to share with us your highest hopes, your dreams and aspirations of your children. We want you to feel very comfortable, we want you to feel very free, we want you to open up, because this opportunity doesn't happen with every soul. And we don't want to miss that chance. And in our 5-year plan that we're working on right now, so we can continue on to a 10-year plan, 15-year plan starts tonight. So, on behalf of the ISD Board of Trustees, the Huntsville County School District, I want to say welcome. Welcome. But also, I want to share with you that back in August, during your district employees convocation, I shared this with you. That Huntsville County School District is the best school district in the state of Texas. And it was a pause. And I said, well, suggested if you don't believe that now, start thinking it, start saying it out loud, and start believing until you become a believer that our school district can be, will be, the best school district in the state of Texas. That's why you're here today. So, what we wish for you to give us your judicious, your critical, and your favorable concerns about what you would like to see this school district really be in the next 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. We always hear a lot about the achievement we have in education. Tonight, Jose Gale, with your input, what we hope to receive is something that will help us to close the opportunity and expectation gap of our kids. So if y'all can help us achieve that, what that's going to do is it's going to help push our kids forward to become entertainers, to become dreamers, and to become what they really want to be. So as those spaces kids came up, and when they turn around and they were your kids, okay, tonight, we want you to share with us those wonderful things that you hope for, that you dream for your kids, so that we can close the opportunity gap and the expectation gap of Huntsville County School District children. With that, I say thank you again for coming. God bless you all. Let us have fun. Let us have input. Let us have a real good 2 hours of workshop. Thank you.
So we're just a couple of housekeeping chores. If you're sitting beside somebody who needs a deaf interpreter, we have interpreters sitting right over here. They can sit right in front of these tables. If there's anybody that needs that assistance, also Dr. Rodriguez, if I don't know, I want to make sure you deliver this message.
Good evening, Dr. Rodriguez. Buenas noches, bienvenidos. Si necesitan traducción en español, por favor, díganos si tenemos alófonos para que usen ustedes. Gracias.
Thank you. And so now it's my great pleasure to introduce you to 5 people that I've known for several years. Candy Green is going to be working with us. She's already been working with our teachers and also our coaches, academic coaches. And she's from a company called Engaged Learning Incorporated. Steve Waddell, Dr. Waddell, is also from that company. He's going to be your facilitator tonight. And so, it's my great pleasure, and he'll tell you a little more about himself. My great pleasure to introduce you to Dr. Steve Waddell.
And I want to make sure that you all know me. Is this microphone working? It's on. Is it working now? Is that better? They're turning up the volume. Can you hear me in the back? If not, I'll move to the other microphone. It's okay? Microphones don't work. Thank you, and it's great to be here. And tonight, finishing up the 3 summits, and we had a good one last night. This place was packed. We had some good discussion here. Today at noon, we had another really great meeting. The room we used was absolutely full with about 120 people, a diverse group. Incredible discussion there today. So it's been a really 2 great days. I just want to say, Mr. Langley's over here and spoke today and introduced the session. Mr. Armstrong tonight, and these guys really are great at getting a meeting. And I just have to say that their comments, they hit on really two of the most important things we're going to be talking about. And one is the direction the district goes in, and the other is basing this on your hopes and dreams for your children. So it's great to have people like that who are leading the district who understand that and are able to articulate it so well. And I really appreciate that. So thank you for the beginning. And I'm excited to be here again. Hope tonight's a great night for you. And thank you for taking the time to come out. I know there's a lot of things going on. I saw the football field, there were kids on it. I smelled the popcorn down the hallway, with volleyball going on. So I appreciate you taking the time to come. Here's our agenda tonight, what we hope to get done, and over the next hour and a half, 2 hours or so. And so we're going to, I just want to go over a couple of things here as we get started. And I mentioned, Mr. Langley this morning, in kicking off the meeting, talked about the fact that the district, he too echoed the statement that this is a great school district. He said it's the best district in Texas, as did Mr. Antwi. And he talked, though, the fact the district really had not, in a number of years, done work in terms of setting an agreed-upon common direction for the district. And then there were great things happening in the district and great people, but there wasn't, they did not take the time to identify what's our direction that we're trying to go in. So all, as he put it, all the arrows are aligned. And that's what this is about. That gray arrow represents where you've been going and that general direction of the district over a number of years. The left is school district I was in. We had an honor to come in there. It's a great school district as well. Great campuses, great teachers and principals. But the honor said we had 36 schools, and they said you have 36 independent school districts here in this district. That's because we've not taken the time to talk about common beliefs and vision and mission and goals. This represents that problem. And as we continue to work in our strategic design that we've been working on over the next several months, the district is going to identify that direction that they wish to go in. And when that happens, though, they see it as a context gap. And the good thing about that is that with finite resources, with identified goals, everybody can understand the decision-making that needs to be taking place to allocate those resources in the way that is going to best serve the direction of the district, and make sure those roles are set up in a way that serves that. So that's just a quick representation of that. Every organization needs to know where it's going in order to be effective. This is a little illustration of the timeline that we're going to be working on, what we're going to be doing. We're in the engage and collaborate portion of this right now. You see the summits. It's what we're doing tonight. The survey will be launched next Monday night. And then, as Dr. White said, after those are over and we've done this data gathering with the community, we're going to have focus groups, several of those over a 2-day period, to start talking in a more focused way about, okay, what do we hear in the summits and surveys, and let's talk about where you're coming from as a particular member of the community. They're going to be more homogeneous groups representing different elements of the community. From that, we form a design team where we start working on vision, goals, and action plans, and then at the very end of the process, looking at timelines and strategies and metrics that we're going to use to make sure that it's implemented and you start getting those results. And this will hopefully drive your work for years to come. Engaged learning has some principles in terms of how we do our work. The most important of which, I think, is that student focus. And we're going to be hearing from students in a few minutes. You see them up here. We've had now 3 different groups of students, both high school and middle school, who's talked to the adults who've come to the summits. And they've done a great job. As the board president just said, it's about the children and the hopes and dreams that you have for them that really is what matters. and seeing those hopes and dreams fulfilled. So that student focus is the most important part. We want it to be community-based, and that's what we're seeing tonight. And there were some nervous people in Huntsville ISD before we did this. They were asking, and they asked me, we sure hope people will come. But when you offer that invitation to give people a chance to participate in what's in the decisions that are made in the district and where the district's going, I believe they will come, and they have. The Huntsville committee has come here, they've participated, they've been active in the discussions, and so we are engaging the community. By the way, I saw the newspaper this morning, thought it was a great article, and it's good publicity for the school district. And you know, I've heard some people talk about the idea that this is the best school district in Texas. Well, perception's a big thing. And what goes on in the classroom, obviously listening to these kids, great things are happening in the classrooms. But I know there's a concern, how does the community at large or people outside, what is their perception of Huntsville ISD? And certainly when you see a newspaper article like that, it helps out. When people are looking at that and go, wow, it's fantastic, a lot of community involvement, a great discussion. In the final analysis, we want this to be transparent, we want it to be actionable. That if something comes out of this and results, there's results as a result. So, saying all that, I talked about the importance of participation. There's several ways to participate. We're going to have participation tonight in terms of questions being asked of you, discussing around your tables. Some people are going to speak, share what they were thinking with the group, but everybody in this room is going to participate by responding to the questions through both text messaging. On the back of your agenda, you'll see there's a response sheet there, where you can also record your answers there. You choose not to use your cell phone to text answers in. And if you do that, I just want to ask you at the end of the evening, just leave that on your table so we can gather it. But 3 ways to respond, and then later through the focus group. So there's going to be an ample opportunity to participate here and share your ideas. So I want to jump now to one of those important parts of the evening. I didn't realize that. We have a group of kids, and they're going to introduce themselves, and we're going to start right here. Share your name and the grade and what school.
My name is Salisbury Smith. I go to Huntsville High School, and I'm in 10th grade. My name is Shelby Houston. I go to Huntsville High School, and I am a senior.
My name is Victoria Alcantaro. I'm in 11th grade, and I go to Huntsville High School.
My name is Evelyn Williams. I'm in 8th grade, and I go to Mansfield.
Okay, turn my light back on, hopefully you won't see that. So, our first question is, I want you to just talk about what your hopes are for your future, and what do you want to be doing in 10 years? Since you have one, what are your hopes for the future, and what do you want to be able to do? What do you want to be doing in 10 years?
I hope to continue just to be finishing college.
What?
Finishing college and then military.
In 10 years, I hope that I can be on my way to a successful career.
What career are you thinking about?
I do not have a specific career goal yet.
Okay.
In 10 years, I was hoping to see myself graduating from college and successfully teaching in classroom.
Okay. People out there that are applauding for Jesus. And is that in K-12 or college? There's some college teachers out here too.
Early K-12.
K-12.
High school.
Okay, in Huntsville, correct?
In the future, I hope to have graduated high school and go off to attend college. I'm thinking about TCU as well as UTSA and majoring in kinesiology and becoming a physical therapist.
Hopefully, 10 years from now, I will be out on my own veterinarian.
All right. I understand that. Okay. All right, great. All right, next question. You can cheat a little bit if you like. Describe what will be happening in the classroom in your ideal school. And if you decide what to do every day in school to prepare for the future, which you've been talking about, what will you be doing in the classroom to get ready to be a vet or be a teacher? So your ideal school, what will be going on in that classroom?
Hopefully, I will get my lesson and I will know where I'm supposed to be or I should be very good graduate from college.
And in your class, you're going to be a veterinarian. What would you, ideally, what would you want to see happen here?
Well, they should be teaching me where
I'm a hands-on learner, so definitely projects, experiments, things like that. Having things again that are actually in the field that I want to go in and being able to hands-on touch and complete things that will help me reach my goals areas that I want to do.
To elaborate on what Chelsea said, I would also, I like being involved in learning as well, and I would like to be a very collaborative classroom where we all just kind of interact with each other and just head towards a common goal that we all have pretty much. If I were in a classroom that was all wanting to specialize in what I want to do, then I would most likely work together and collaboratively and
All right, really pass the microphone to you two ladies, talk about hands-on, and use the word collaboration. So that is part of hands-on learning, collaborate, interact. And can you give a few more examples of what you mean when you talk about hands-on?
I know that, like in the medical field, actually having the equipment to actually practice on a test dummy or whatever, just to actually get the feel of what you're going to actually be doing.
All right, thanks.
Okay, so I think that in my ideal classroom, I would want to have a teacher who was passionate and loved what they were teaching me. Since I don't have a specific career goal, just so I could see people who really loved what they were teaching. So just so I could understand what their options were.
In my ideal classroom, I want to be hands-on and like working in groups. So like you can have like other people's minds solve problems and stuff.
Okay, thank you, great. All right, so your third question, without saying any names, can you describe what you consider to be your ideal teacher? You were talking about that a little bit, one of the passion for what they're doing. So describe your ideal teacher. What do you think teachers need to be doing to help you prepare for the future that you want?
My ideal teacher is like a teacher that can relate to us and like understand some things we're going through, and can also like make learning like fun ways instead of just standing there and talking all the time. Also, they help us prepare for the future by telling us their experiences and things for them differently to be more successful.
Okay, so like I was saying, a teacher, I think my ideal teacher would be a teacher who could talk to us and make us want to listen to what they're saying, and really you can tell that they just love it. 'Cause I think any student will listen when a teacher loves something, because it makes it feel more fun or exciting and it's more engaging.
For my ideal teacher, I would have to say that, like most everyone else is saying, that I would want a teacher who is very passionate about their subject and genuinely interested in what they're saying, what they're teaching us. Because I mean, it's hard not to be interested whenever someone is talking about something they genuinely love. And also another quality that I would find an ideal teacher would be a teacher that you know you can rely on in and out of the classroom. Like if you need for them to like talk to them about something, you know they would be there for it, whether or not it was about their class or it was just about possibly your day or something. Like, that to me is what I would want my ideal teacher.
My ideal teacher would definitely be passionate about whatever it is they're teaching me, and also not only teaching me about whatever it is that I'm learning, but also lessons outside of school. That's important, especially last being so young.
My ideal teacher would be a teacher who puts her students before herself. They would also be more caring and share some of her ideas and help me out and make sure I was in my lessons while in the classroom.
Great. So, next question. What are the ways that you learn best? I think I've got that one say already, but why don't you just, if you have any more to say about that, and I think it's really important here, go ahead and share it.
Pretty much like everybody else, I'm a hands-on learner because I get stuff by feeling it, touching it, doing group activities. I prefer that better than the teacher just stand up there and talking all the time and they can give us an assignment. We really don't know what's going on.
I am a hands-on learner too, but I also like rubrics and projects and things like that. So I know exactly what the teacher wants when she gives me a rubric. I can definitely make 100 if I get everything that's on that rubric. So hands-on and project-based.
For me also as well, I like being hands-on with everything, and I do like a set structure for things, that way it's just kind of set in place where people like, I know what y'all want of us, because I don't know, it kind of worries me a little bit whenever they just kind of let you go with what you want, you're just kind of worried about doing the right thing or doing what's wrong, but it's really what they want. And, yeah.
Okay, I like to learn where I can watch something and listen at the same time. So, like, I can see something in front of me, but also listen to the teacher talk about it. But I also enjoy like hands-on and like projects like that.
The way I learn best is either in my groups or being hands-on with something.
What is it about groups?
Being that works about groups is like, you're not all work by yourself, so like, if you have a problem, you can ask them, and you can solve together, or
All right, great. Okay, our next question. What are the things that make you interested in this?
I think what makes me interested in school is having something that I can look forward to, like going back the next day for. Like if I was working on something and I knew that the next time I went back I could continue to work on it, or if I was learning about something that was really interesting and then I could deepen my understanding of it. I think that makes me more interested in going back every single day and learning more.
Do you like cooking or learning something?
Yes.
For me, I would have to say that something that makes me more interested in learning everything would have to be an enthusiastic teacher, honestly. it can be something that I am not particularly fond of, but if the teacher is like genuinely enthusiastic about it and makes learning fun, I would look forward to that class regardless of the subject I'm for.
What makes me fun in school is definitely my extracurricular activities. I'm a cheerleader here, and I'm also the vice president of student council. I'm in the National English Honor Society as well as Math Honor Society, and I'm in Budget Club and probably something else I forgot. But yeah, definitely being involved in my school, it makes it worth wow.
I can also go on what she said. I love sports, I play basketball, so that's really what motivates me to keep up in school.
Okay. And your last question, a little bit of a stretch question, a thought question here. What do you predict American schools will be like in 10 years?
10 years from now, schools, I predict they're going to be way different than they are now, so a lot of technology, a lot of, I don't think the teachers should try something different for now, so we're looking forward to that in the future.
10 years from now, I predict probably a lot of technology, online classes, Chromebooks, Google Classroom, things like that.
To add on to what they were saying, I agree with that. It's way more technologically advanced than it is now, and a lot more engaging for learning. And also, I think that it's also going to be slightly, well, probably a lot different than what it is now, because everything changes as time goes on, and I guess the learning styles will change as well with it.
Okay, like we were all saying, I think that rather than having a little bit of technology and short classes kind of scattered throughout, all of the classes will be based around technology, as like the fields and computers and technology are growing. I think it's more important that in the future students are learning more about how to operate, things like that.
In 10 years, I think school's a lot more challenging, so it also allows you to be more interactive and be more fun too.
Well, excellent, and I predict your senior life. I think the provost is going to use the state here. He probably represents you my grad. And I also predict that Dr. Wright probably going to be on his job Huntsville ISD to teach. So I thought these guys did a super job, and we did their. I just don't think we can go wrong asking kids their ideas. It's pretty phenomenal. So now it's your turn. And actually, John, you led off this. I don't know if you did it intentionally or if it just happened to work that way, but I'm nonetheless grateful for it. And I think it was the right thing for him to do as the board president, to begin with the hopes and dreams that you have for your children. So here's what we're going to do tonight. You're sitting around round tables on purpose. So you're going to be asked several questions tonight, and this is the first one. I want you to discuss it with your neighbors. Some of you have been here before, you've been in some of the other meetings, so you know how to do this. Talk with your neighbors about this question, and then I'm going to give you some instructions here in just a second about how to provide feedback. I just want to say this. The question is written as highest hopes for your graduates and hopes for the time in school. And of course, that's what it's about. We're talking about the Huntsville Independent School District, and obviously we're concerned about all of our graduates coming out of here, each and every one of them. But I also want you to think about this in terms of this. How many parents are in here? A lot. How many grandparents? 7. I'm raising money. And how many have kids in school right now? How many identify with these kids up here? And you see your own children in there and you probably have conversations like that with them. But I want you to think about this in terms of your own children as well. As a parent or a grandparent, you have highest hopes and dreams for your children. I know you do. No parent ever had a child, the first thing they thought when they were born is, I hope you're above average. They think the highest thing. So as you answer this question, have your own child in mind as you do so, because they're running through this system too. Certainly it's a shared community interest. We have people from the college here, we have business people here, we have community leaders here, and all of you are part of the fabric of this community. And so you have a stake in what happens in each and every one of the children. But you also have a stake as a parent and a grandparent and for them as well. So it's a personal thing and it's a citizenship thing. So I'm going to go to this next slide and show you how to participate. So if you want to use your phone, pull your cell phone out and type the number 22333. It's who you send your text to. And then down in the dialog box, type engage to learn, and then hit send. And that'll connect you with full everywhere. And as soon as you've done that, then you can answer this question on your cell phone. If you don't have your cell phone with you, or if you choose not to use it, then you can write it on the back, on the response sheet on the back side of your agenda. And if you're sitting at a table by yourself, just encourage you to join another table so you can have conversations with them. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to talk about this. What are your highest hopes and dreams for your graduates?
You can look up at the screen, start seeing responses and not on the screen. All right, we're going to go ahead, and if you've not made your response yet, go ahead and make that response. We're going to now
see if, ask if for people who want to share what their group was talking about. We have microphones on each side of the room, so if somebody wants to share what their group is discussing, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll bring a microphone to you. We're looking for volunteers. All right, here we go.
Okay, so I have two boys in the system, and my biggest hope, my biggest desires is that whenever they walk out here, that they're basically one happy with whatever they do. They contribute to society in their world around. And that's really all I want for them. What they do specifically, I don't care. As long as they're happy and back in society.
Great, thank you. Appreciate you volunteering. Here we go.
Basically, what we as parents look for is that when our children get ready to graduate, they step into a whole different level of life. And we want to make sure that they're prepared, not only from our parents, but from our school district, from our community. And that's the biggest thing that we hope for. You know, most of them are getting ready to go off to college, some of them are getting ready to go off to different types of schools or whatever trade. But we just want to make sure that we gave them the best that we can give them during the time that they're coming up until the time that they step out. Because that's another step from one transition of their life into another transition.
All right, thank you. Someone else? Right here.
I think, the thing that comes to my mind is I want my children when they graduate here to become independent thinkers. I want them to be able to look at the world and judge in a confident way what they've been taught, what they've experienced, will prepare them for that. I'd like them to be able to communicate both verbally and especially written, in a written way. And I'd like for them to be competent in STEM courses, in their core courses, in history, and civics, a well-rounded education. But more than that, I want them to be able to think. That's the goal, right? We give them background knowledge, teach them to think.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Anybody else would like to share what they were right over here?
We discussed the question together, and what we come up with was that they would be able to achieve their highest potential, enjoy their career choice, thrive academically, socially, independently, financially, and think on their own, have a strong foundation to build upon, and to know how to see.
Excellent. Thank you. Anybody else want to share out what you were talking about around the table? Great feedback. Yes, great feedback popping up on the screen. Interesting stuff there. And a lot of that goes along with what some of the speakers were sharing and saying. Anybody else like to contribute?
Yes, we were discussing how we would like the students, all our, to be employable. That not only being independent thinkers and problem solvers, but also knowing how to take direction too, without making that feel uncomfortable, if you know what I mean. When I went out of high school, I went right into the military, and that took a lot of taking orders. But it also taught us how to think, how to advance the goal also, and I think that's very important. How to work with people above you and below you, if you understand what I'm saying.
All right. Appreciate that a lot. Thank you. All All right, well, thank you for the feedback, and we're going to move to the next step. We talked about this a little bit. I'm not going to dwell on this. Our trustees talked about this at the beginning, and so did I, about the importance of having the end in mind. Stephen Covey, a noted consultant working with corporations and public organizations around the world. And he, in his quote, talks about it's important to have that end in mind. And the great Yogi Berra, who sadly just passed away, his simple quote, if you don't know where you're going, you might wind up someplace else. And that makes so much sense, doesn't it? And that's why we're here tonight to talk about that. And, I think one thing that impresses me when I work with groups around this topic, I'm hearing it, I've heard it in the 3 summits, and even in this alone, I've heard it echoed in the other 2, is this just common themes popping up with the people who speak up as the contributors and what they say they want. Because one thing that comes out is not just knowing where you're going, but having common beliefs and believing in the same things. And you'll notice a similarity in what people are saying that they want and what they're also posting. So a question for you is, and I pointed this out in every single meeting. I noticed the original Huntsville High School is over by one of your middle schools, and an old building. Probably one community we never built was extremely proud of. And communities around the United States have high schools that look just like that. So when that building was built, what was the purpose of education at that time? Huntsville was probably a different place, but certainly the world perhaps was different. But has the purpose of education changed in the last 100 years? And has the context changed in the last 100 years? We heard the kids talking about how they would, how they thought education would be 10 years from now. And they all described, said that they believe it's going to be quite a bit different than it is today. So we're going to watch a short video about that concept.
Since the dawn of its existence, the purpose of public education has been fairly simple and straightforward. We want our kids to grow up to be happy, healthy, productive members of society. Even though our purpose in education has remained steadfast for over 150 years, a lot of things have changed. Remember the pioneer days? Well, probably not, but it looks something like this. During this time, people mostly lived in small rural communities and predominantly worked on family-owned and operated farms. So how do we educate and prepare children to function successfully in this environment? Well, unless you are rich enough to afford a private tutor, your children are educated in one of these, a one-room schoolhouse. Think about how well this maps the context of the day. School schedules maps the agrarian calendar, and students are educated in small, multi-age, cooperative learning rooms. As students mastered the basics, they became apprentices, learning trades, crafts, and family business. We call this Education 1.0. Education imitated the lifestyle and work environments that people were engaged in at the time. But come the turn of the 20th century, society changed with the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. In a very short amount of time, the living and work environment of our society quickly changed. People began to flock to major urban epicenters where jobs and commerce were widely available. New inventions and modes of transportation led to rapid expansion of our economy. No longer were people working in fields and family trades, but instead in manufacturing plants and assembly lines. So what did we do to prepare young people to meet the needs of the day? We created an industrial model of schooling. Education 2.0. If most people worked in this environment, then it made sense that we teach them in this one. In order for students to be successful in the industrial age, they needed to learn how to master repetitive tasks and how to do solitary work in a group setting. They needed to learn how to work in allotted segments of time How to follow instructions from a manager who valued the quantity of work produced. It was an efficient model that perfectly met the needs of society. Everyone was expected to learn in the same place, at the same time, at the same rate, and in the same way. Today we find ourselves in a time very different than the days of the Industrial Revolution. The context of society, and in turn education, has rapidly changed. Most of us don't work in factories or on assembly lines, and yet our classrooms still look like this. Things are changing, and changing fast. Technology is advancing so fast that in just a few short years from now, we'll probably be laughing about how archaic smartphones were, the same way that we laugh about 8-track players and VCRs. There is little about our world that resembles the world of Education 2.0. And as great as technological advances are, it may not be enough to put a laptop or tablet in front of every student and continue to teach them as if we were prepared them for an assembly line. After all, a vast majority of employers surveyed identify collaboration, creativity, communication, and critical thinking as very important skills. Unfortunately, only about 1/4 of job seekers were rated as excellent in the skills employers believe are most important. Perhaps it's time we ask ourselves if Education 2.0 still prepares young people to be happy, healthy, productive members of society. The context of our society is rapidly changing, but the purpose of education remains the same as it's always been. Today, our job is to educate young people to be successful in the 21st century, because it may not be too long from now that your morning commute will look like this. There's a vast world of possibilities for young people today, and if we want them to be equipped with the skills necessary to be successful in Life 3.0, then it's probably time that we start talking about Education 3.0.
So the students that we have here talked really, they didn't talk a lot about technology, but they talked about it, and they talked about how they believe it's changing education. It has changed it. I guess the question that I would ask you is, to what extent has technology changed your life in the last 10 years? Has it had an impact on you? And, one thing that I, sometimes say is, I think most everybody probably has a smartphone, but when did you get your first one? And you may not even be quite sure, when did you get a phone at an age, or was it just something you talked about? And, my first mobile phone was a bag phone I had in my car. And it really looked like a phone. It had a wire on it, for goodness sakes. These days, we expect when we go someplace, the first thing they ask us is there wireless in here, right? And, I think, so the joke I frequently say is, if you left home without your cell phone, what would you do? I mean, would you come here tonight if you left your cell phone home? And there's a couple people who think, yes, I'd come. But most of you turn around and come back and die. And you stay in panic. I want you to take just a few minutes at your table to brainstorm tools that our kids have in using technology that weren't here a few years ago. So take a minute to do that. Some of the reasons for that is kind of helping to kind of hold your hand up a little bit, hear me, very good. And some folks over on this side, so you don't mind, put your hand up a little bit, if I can get you to look over here. Thank you. So really, the question was about a list of technology tools, but actually, those technology tools will change forever. And when you say technology, you tend today to say digital technology. So when my dad, I was a boy, my dad was a principal and a rural superintendent, and he got a grant, and he got some new film strips. And he's really excited about those. And I remember the Bell Power projectors that melted the film, as in the middle of the movie. And so some people remember those when that was. And then we got cassette. How about an overhead projector scale? And for some teachers who teach for a long time, that was strange to make that adjustment to overhead projector. So that was technology, and actually at one point in time, the introduction of textbooks was new technology in the classroom. So really, when you talk about technology, it's just that digital technology is what we tend to think of. And the other part about that is how each and every one of your lives is it's been very rapid change in the last few years on that. The thing about it is our kids, I found as a superintendent that the older kids in my school district, was still digital natives and digital immigrants. And I would say every one of us in here are digital migrants. We're not digital natives. We may use technology and digital technology effectively, but even now, when we get something new, we want to know how to work it. Who do we ask? And they know how. Somehow they don't even have to read the manual. Here, let me show you. But I think even today, our secondary kids perhaps are, maybe they're not even digital natives. It's the elementary kids, middle school kids who seems to be a more natural thing for them. And I told a story, and it was a good one, about some seniors who I asked to show me how they use a digital calculator, and they use their index finger on their hand to show me how to use it. And then when I was talking to some middle school kids, I said, show me how to use a digital calculator, they were doing this. And it's interesting because for 4 years that the way they use their fingers and thumbs had changed. And I told the seniors later, I said, you all are already on the lead. So and that digital nativeness is going to continue as these kids cycle up through their through the school years and up into college. A couple of quotes here about work, and one of them's a little older. They're both a little older, but the thing is that this was true then when they said that. Then has that accelerated to today? Peter Drucker of MIT said that in the 21st century, everybody's going to be their own CEO. And instead of nine companies, it's 9 careers that they're talking about today. Here's some data that we pulled up, the U.S. News and World Report top 25 jobs for this decade. And I'm just going to give you a few seconds to look this over if you can see them. These jobs that really are the top jobs coming up. And just think to yourself, can you see any trends here? Okay, somebody said healthcare, and maybe a reason for that is I happen to be a baby boomer. There's a few of you in the room, and we're all hitting that retirement age, and there are a lot of us who really need to be taken care of. So healthcare, yeah. Anything else that you see up there? Technology is a big deal. And then one thing we're going to be talking about in a minute is maybe preparation for those kind of jobs. Here's the jobs created in the last 5 years. This was a 2013 report. Probably there's a few jobs that will be added to this now, certainly in the last 2 years. But even in 2013, look at some of these jobs that were here that were not even 5 years old. Chief Listening Officer, CLO, and then a cyborg anthropologist. Now we all know about anthropology, but cyborg anthropology. And then an online reputation manager. And of course, that's I mean, we chuckle over that, but actually that's pretty serious business, isn't it? The appropriate use of technology and social media, and especially for our young people who those filters may not be there, in terms of making good decisions, but they're not there with older folks as well. I have to tell you, I had some people on my staff that they really innocently posted some things on Facebook and say, you know what, you have to think about that when you're a professional, and what you leave behind remains permanent. So what I'd like you to do at your tables is take a little time with your table mates and talk about, given what we've been talking about, some trends, technology, the changes there, the jobs we saw listed here, what you said about highest hopes and dreams. Think about those things. What skills do you believe are most important for the graduates of Huntsville ISD in order for them to be successful? Take a few minutes to talk about that. And I have up here you can go ahead and text your thoughts on this again to this number. We're kind of loading this down for our highest hopes and dreams and that was skills. Probably getting a lot of questions up here, but we're ready to start getting responses from the audience tables. So we have our people with our microphones. Is anybody ready to share the thoughts from your table? Some things you guys are talking about. Anybody? There we go, right there. And we. Thank you.
Okay, here's our list. Communication, critical thinking, problem solving, being able to work independently, being able to collaborate in a group, being a self-starter, being self-motivated, being a team player, a risk taker, and creative.
Get all that posted. update. Okay, right over here.
Her list was so extensive, but what we did add on to that is that kids wouldn't really have to finish the top. So we were talking about everything being on the computer, the student doesn't skill, and being able to work in groups and solve problems, not just isolated individuals. So my job is to teach kids how to get jobs. And one of the things in talking to employers is are there soft skills, learning how to communicate with customers, learning how to communicate with others. And those are things that all kids are lacking right now.
Let me echo that at this stage.
Okay, we have to echo over here. All right, somebody else? I've been looking at what was coming up here. A lot of them are soft skills, but I also saw deep reading and math, basic, and those things are always going to be very important for being left behind. I said it seems like, you know, what you're saying is making sure that those content or those hard skills are taken care of, but these soft skills are important. And we have someone else that wants to contribute from their group that would like to add to that discussion. Okay. Here's a microphone.
Okay, I just want to ensure that, I guess, there are still trades, because not everybody is college bound. It took me a horse life lesson in 10 years to make it to college. And that was working 3 jobs and doing it by myself. You know, I wasn't on financial aid or anything. I had to work, you know, work from home. But my thing is that technology is great, but we still need people to keep the infrastructure. I can't change my faucet, but the guy that changed it got $350 on me. And my job, we called the electrician because something was going on, and the guy that had the right to check it on the building said, I can pay $800 for them to figure out if the fuses were all jacked up. And don't y'all, you neighbors don't mess with those fuses anymore. We didn't do it, he did, and he forgot he did it last week. You know, those are important. You know, not everybody is going to go to college. That is not an option for everybody. That some people don't want to, some people don't have the ability to. So we need to put in place something that ensures that those kids that don't want to go to college or not college material, that they have a life, that they're not living in my house no more. And I'm pretty sure everybody in the back of my mind, all parents are thinking, you know, it's 25 is not make up. But those things, you know, technology is fine, but it's fine to have technology. I work with, like this lady said, a 22-year-old who yells at her at the time. I'm like, you can't yell at those people. You know, you gotta come up with a different strategy. You can't be in there yelling, they're yelling, and you yelling. Somebody's gonna get fired, and so do you. Those are the kind of life skills. You know, it's just things that are missing. And some parents do a really good job, and then some parents are overwhelmed and they don't have the time because they're trying to put food on the table. So there has got to be an happy medium. Kids that can't read and can't write and can't go anywhere. And that's the bottom line. And that was told to me by my you can't read, you can't write, and you can't add, you can't go anywhere. So you want to get so sit down and let's get with it. But my thing is that we're losing some kids because we are withdrawing a lot of that. We're focusing on technology. And I am of the old school. I'm going to sit down with a piece of paper and you know, read the book I told my 15-year-old that, she was like, you know what? I said, we used to go pull out a car catalog. She was like, I don't have that no more. And those are skills that we're losing, and those skills are going to still be needed. Yeah, and so that's my input, because we are losing the basics. And communication, you can have an IM and text people, you know, in a paper, in the form of paper, or a poster, because that doesn't work. And that's where I'm at. Thank you.
All right. My septic system, not just city sewer. And we might help me back up. I sure want someone to come help me out with that. And one at our school district, the first person that bought a house was the one that made in auto technology and got a job at the Bentley dealership in Dallas. So hear what you're saying. And she talked about a couple of things. Well, she talked about several things actually. But talk about not all people are going to go to college, but they need to be able to take care of themselves. You need to be able to communicate and know how to get along with other people. And as well as you have to have those background skills. They're absolutely essential. This is an older report done with business leaders about things that they value. You'll notice that a lot of things that you put up here and saying what she just said are things that they value. One of my earlier positions as superintendent was in Corpus Christi, and it was heavy petrochemical industry, and my biggest taxpayer, over 50% of the largest refinery in Corpus Christi. And the refinery manager, we talked a lot about jobs, and he said, I want people to work here to get paid jobs. Well, what he said is, you know what we're really looking for is people who understand how to work with each other, those soft skills. We can teach them more hard skills here. And that's why I was and then in Louisville, my last visit where I retired from, I had a business advisory council. I had entrepreneurs on there, tech business owners, and I had a vice president for Frito-Lay on there. And they all echoed the same thing this last year. So this data is still, the report folder, it's still good data, probably more so. The guy who had the technology company that was on my board, he had an interesting way of hiring. So we don't interview people anymore. We hire them. He said, what we do is we bring them in and we give them a problem solve and figure out how they do that problem. But this is echoes of what you're saying in your feedback and what the business community. Just an interesting graph here comparing the PISA test, the international test that the United States gets a lot of criticism on, with entrepreneurial capabilities. And it's kind of interesting to look at this, that the countries that do the best on the PISA test also are the worst in terms of creativity and entrepreneurial skills. And, you know, for me, it's kind of interesting. The United States still leads today the world in terms of new patents and new ideas, and the others figure out, you know, they create business to make that work. But I don't know that a lot of people are surprised when they see this correlation between entrepreneurial capability and that test. And Young Zhao from the University of Oregon commented on that. As a matter of fact, he's the one that produced that chart that I just showed you. Okay, this next chart is really, man, I think you were talking about this. And if you think back on the jobs that I showed you, the 2015 report, the kinds of jobs that were there, and you look at this, it makes a lot of sense. 63% of the jobs for this decade will require at least a 2-year degree. So, 33% are VAs or above, but 30% 2-year program, technical program. The point is here that getting post-high school education is very, very important, but it doesn't have to be the same for everyone. And certainly, That problem of, hey, if you're electrical work, if you're wiring, if your light doesn't come on, my air conditioner went out last week too. So, anybody have air conditioning go out this summer?
Yes.
I mean, don't you really want a really good air conditioning company when that happens? When do you want them? So, you want people who can do that. So, we've been talking about the context of learning and the jobs that our kids are going to be able to do. This dynamic between knowing how to get along and work with people and yet having those skills, those core skills they've always need to have. And putting that together and facing the new world and the impacts of technology that everyone's facing, not just our kids. So, in thinking about Huntsville ISD and what our kids need to be prepared for their future lives, not our present. Does learning in school need to shift? And if it does, what kinds of tasks and activities of work do our students need to be doing? Our kids up here in the panel talk about the kind of work that they like to do and how they learn best. So, also, in that way, we heard from our students a little bit about teachers and what they hope from their teachers. Something that kept coming forward. It was pretty remarkable, I thought. I want my teacher to be passionate about their work. One student said, even if it's not my favorite subject, if that teacher is interested and passionate, we're going to want to do the work. I wonder if that is true with everybody, and think about your coworkers. How do you feel about that? Have you felt that kind of thing? You see people with passion and who love what they do. But in the new learning environment, what is the role of the teacher? Is it any different? Will it be the same, or will it change? And if so, how is that? So I want you to talk about that around your table. What is the role of the teacher in the learning environment that we want for our children to live successful lives? All right, we're getting some responses up here, and I hope you're taking the time to glance up at the board and see what people are posting. We're ready to take some responses from the audience. So, is anybody ready at this point for sharing out what it is that you can talk about? Somebody like to begin? Who would like to begin? We have this gift papers back here with a long list. Okay. Just a moment, we get it.
So in the new learning environment, what is the role of the teacher? I say facilitator, but also small group instructor. If you go into, I think kindergarten teachers master is the best. And when you go into a kindergarten classroom, there's a million things going on at once, okay? But the teacher knows what's going on. And half the time, kids are in their stations and learning, and, at first glance, the parent might be like, oh, they're just playing. No, they're not playing. areas and focus to what they're doing. But by doing that and having other tasks on hand, the teacher's able to pull a smaller group and make sure that they really know what's going on. And I've seen this even at the, I've walked into some classrooms before and seen it even at the higher and secondary level. You walk in, there's a bunch of different stuff going on, but you see the teacher, she's monitoring everything, or he's monitoring everything, and he's able to have that small group just to make sure that no one is slipping through the cracks. Because a lot of times you'll get students in your classroom who are just nodding and smiling, and you're thinking, yeah, they know it, but then once you really get to them, and they don't know it. And by doing that facilitating role in that small group instructor role, they're really able to get to where the child's having difficulty and be able to level. Because you get 30 kids in your classroom, they're not all at the same level. And so you've got to really figure out what works best for each individual student.
Right, you had some kindergarten teachers behind you that really. Okay, somebody else, thank you. Somebody else want to comment on that? Okay, we had some really good responses up there, so, but we'll move on to the next part. Another question. If you go back to the arrows that I had at the beginning, and you look at that context gap there, and a question comes up because you have finite resources, whether it's the number of people you have, the money you have, the time that you have. And it varies. I've heard this many times. If an idea comes forward, let's try this, the questions come up, we don't have time. You probably heard that. Or where are we going to find money? Maybe a good idea to work the money. And you're not going to get more money. At least not what's on the clock. And money has its limitations. School board members do the best they can, superintendent does the best he can. But there's a limit there, and actually schools work with less than what they had before. So the thing is, when you establish a direction or decide on a new course of action or to make determinations, we want to focus on these things. You can do something that we call strategic abandonment, because sometimes we keep doing things and they're past their point of usefulness, or more importantly, they're not aligned anymore. They're not aligned to where we said we wanted to go. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about that and discuss what do you think we need to stop doing in terms of the future and what we should be doing for our kids, preparing them for their future lives. It's a hard question. We're getting some good responses up here. If you've not sent yours in, please do so. And since you started to quiet down a little bit, I'm just is there somebody in the audience that would like to share what we all talked about? This is, we were talking over here at this table. This is not each question. We have a hand here, we have a hand over here. So we'll start here and we'll go.
I say at some point we have to stop doing all the work as teachers and kind of let the kids facilitate their own work, generate their own questions within their collaborative groups, and then begin to, as a team, question it within their groups, and that in their future helps with the teamwork and their future plans, careers.
Right. Okay, we have a person right over here at this table. Yeah, the question I said not to ask is who should be the hardest working person in the classroom?
Testing. Okay, so what we talked about was making the curriculum aligned from K to 12, which is something that Huntsville is doing a really good job of, but I think that we can do even better of making sure that the teachers that we're teaching in kindergarten are the ones that are traveling up those stairs and getting them to 12th grade. And it's hard to get the kindergarten teacher, like we were talking about, she's teaching part to whole numbers, so she's teaching 2 plus 5 is 7. But she's starting off with 2 blocks here and 5 blocks here makes 7. And then we're working on those skills of manipulating numbers in our head, and that's going to lead to that mental map that eventually reaches, calculus and all of that stuff that I'm not super good at. But making sure that we're seeing how it aligns and making sure it's at the right rigor for our students.
That's a great point, and makes me think of something because now in Texas, I know we're talking about K-12 education, but in Texas public schools in Texas, the idea of college and career readiness has become what we're talking about. And so that college readiness question is really kind of a tricky one. What does that mean? What is college readiness? And from a curriculum standpoint, we're not clear on it. And a vice president from San Houston State was at the noon meeting today. We kind of got a conversation about that. Alignment in K-12 can certainly save you time if you knew, are we teaching the things at the right time or things that really are matter? But the same thing could be said if we would do that alignment with higher ed. Think about that all the way down. Okay, who else?
Well, I'm going to express something that might not be a popular opinion here. I'd like to see less reliance on technology, because technology provides students with a black box. Punch numbers in and calculate the use of operational outputs, and you have no basis to understand whether or not whatever that black box just gave you was remotely in the ballpark of the correct answer. I don't think that technology should be avoided. We talked a lot about the use of technology. The other thing we talked about here, or at least what I heard, was you want people with interpersonal skills. Technology, in my opinion, right, is one of the reasons that our interpersonal skills are tanking. These kids take out each other and Facebook and Instagram and other each other, and they think that they ought to be able to do that, in interpersonal communication. But in no way is technology a substitute for a competent instructor. You want them to get better. It's time. We're all parents in here, grandparents, whatever. What do you say you want most of your kid? You want to spend time with your child. You spend time with your child. That child knows you care. You have a competent instructor spending time with that child, right? I think we're better prepared in so many different ways than just plugging them in to say, oh, practice on calculator. I mean, I'm in a position where I see this every day. I see kids who, you give them a problem, they plug it into something, and they have no way to validate whether that answer is remotely in the ballpark. And while technology is good, they're gonna pick it up. These kids are coming out of the room with a hand on the cell phone, right? They're Googling before their second birthday. It's again, confidence. And while technology is a tool, it is not the answer.
Yeah, great point.
I have something to say to that.
Okay.
Just like we taught our students
our social skills. Of course, we're going to need to teach our students, our children, the skills that they need to use when they use technology, to use it correctly.
You know, there was a book written years ago by Clayton Christensen, professor of Harvard Businesses, and you know, he predicted that 50%, over 50% of the customers were students, college students, the lead public schools by 2025. And the reason for that is they build technology. So what do schools have that technology doesn't? Well, that's the things that these kids are talking about. Training instructors who are passionate about it, ability to work with others, share learning. So as she said, I mean, using it the way it's supposed to be, it's not learning that schools don't have. But it's certainly a problem that has to get talked about. We are, right? The next question I'd like to ask you is this one. What does school need to look like to support these new goals? The kids talk about it. They did an excellent job talking about, you know, what's going on in the classroom. You know, so in terms of, think about that. What does the school need to look like? There's some examples here. Time, organization, tools. Technology is a tool. Place, measures of success. So imagine what, in order to provide the learning that we've been talking about, kids have been talking about, we think they may need moving forward, what does school need to look like to support that? Go ahead and talk with your neighbors about it. Right, please begin posting and not necessarily posting responses up here, those recorded. And somebody like to talk about what your table is considering on this question. What do you look like to support this? Stand.
Our table, yes, year round.
I'd get a This will be interesting, so everybody wants to hear.
Our table discussed the benefits, maybe of not taking a 2.5-month break in the summer.
What we saying?
We just talked a lot about how schools, traditionally, when you first showed the video,
It was talking about schools 100 years ago and why, we took off in the summer is because of the farming and so forth. But really, one population of that is doing that. And, I'm a teacher too. I work in the schools. I get it. I love my summers and when I have off and so forth. But when I was talking to Wilford, she taught dyslexia for so long. She would bring children at the end of the school year so far, they may be at grade level or ahead at grade level, and then she would assess them again at the beginning of the school year, and they progress to grade levels. Just because they've been out for, that length of time. And it is a traditional model, that's what we do in the United States, we've always done it that way, but is that necessarily the right way and the best way, the way our kids understand? Because they learn completely different.
And it's going to be sacred.
It is, because, you start talking about not having summers, the tourism industry is going to go crazy. It's just one of the things that's going to happen. But you just have to start thinking outside the box.
Okay, so considering that you decide to just kind of journalize that, you say we need to consider the schedule and how that's set up.
Just think about it.
Right. Okay, somebody else. By the way, just an FYI, if you look for more hints come up in the Corpus Christi area, near the every school district year-round school. Right. Kind of interesting. You don't see that anywhere else in Texas. That is also a summer vacation. Yeah. Kind of ironic. Somebody else. All right, Ben. Right here. Okay, good. Go ahead.
Hi, I think right now my biggest struggle as a parent, not as a teacher, because that's not my skills, but I have a disconnect as to what my child is learning and what the teacher is teaching. I graduated from school, from college, from high school. Hello. I graduated. I feel that I'm successful in my role now, but when my second grader comes home, I feel challenged at what he's being asked to do, and I'm thinking, well, draw 3 circles and mark 1 out, and that's your answer. I don't know what I'm doing. And so I feel like I reach out to teachers, and they're quick to respond to me and let me know what's going on, but I know that at the end of the day, they're exhausted from the amount of questions they're already asked for their students. As a parent, I would like it to be available maybe online as we are progressing to technology and say, okay, I'm in 2nd grade, I'm learning math, this is my challenge, here's my example, so that when I feed that information back to my child, I'm on the same page as the teacher, and going in tomorrow, I know that he's going to have more success with what he's asked to do. And that, for me, has been a big struggle. So I think measurement and placement needs to come back towards the facilitators who are putting it out there, that they give it to everyone, because at the end of the day, we were all involved in their success, and we have to be on the same page.
Great thoughts. Thanks. Someone else? Okay, well, we haven't really talked about testing all that much. It's kind of interesting in the noon session. Testing came up quite a bit, and it really, at least not overtly, has come up much tonight. But testing has been a subject that's been discussed a lot in the state the last few years, and there's been some legislation around that, House Bill 5, and in the last legislative session, there was additional work done on the testing system, which really, and it's come about both from educators as well as from parents, and really House Bill 5 passed because of parent pressure. And the Texans advocating for meaningful student assessment was mainly a mother's group. Some people dubbed them Mothers Against Drunk Testing, and but it shows the power that they had, and reversing a trend in Texas has been going on for a long time, where more and more standardized testing is occurring. But we've talked about a lot of different. We have talked about things, not about testing, but things that you want to see going on in the classroom. And when you look at some of the responses on the board, it brings up the question of measurement. So, are there other ways that you can measure school effectiveness beyond standardized testing and accountability? And some of this comes down to standards and what communities say they value, and one element of House Bill 5 is we think about the fact in House Bill 5 that they reduced in the course exams from 15 to 5. But the other thing it did, it's not talked about a lot, is that it called for local districts to develop their own measures of quality. And that's not something school districts or communities are used to doing. So what I'd like you to do now, and it's our last question tonight, but this is an important one. So talk to your neighbors about how would we measure school effectiveness, not replacing standard. I mean, if you want to think of it in that way, you can, but that's not what this question is saying. But beyond standardized testing and accountability, how would we measure school effectiveness? So take a few moments with your table and talk about that. Other ways to measure effectiveness. Then it's taking a bottom, starts to pop up on the screen. So if you haven't mentioned yours yet, please go ahead and do so. All right, let's see if some people would like to comment. This is really an interesting question. You know, in my own district, we talk to my staff, the administrators, and teachers. I talk to some. So what would you do if we just said today, no more standardized tests? You know, and we have a lot of people in my district that really didn't care for them. The question is, well, you live your whole career, that's what you've done. And even if you say you don't like it, what if you didn't have to do it? What would you do? Because when you say, well, we're not going to measure anything at all, that doesn't seem acceptable. So, and whenever I ask that question, I go, oh my gosh. Because, and it really is a hard question. So, there's some interesting thoughts up here. Some of those are saying, we ought to measure this. I've seen some of those up here. We ought to measure this, but by what means we can measure. So let's get some responses from you, some things that you talked about around this. Go ahead.
Okay, so I try to have a special educator, and one of the things that we do post-secondary is we ask kids, what are you doing?
with your post-secondary life. We make sure that they are productive members of society after they leave us. It's indicator 14. And I think that even with our students who are not in special education, that's what we need to be doing. That is the measure of what we've done, is being a productive member of society.
Thank you. Let's hear some other ideas. I've heard some good things walking by some neighbors, so get a couple other people to share. I heard some you guys want to share?
I don't think we'd be real popular. Yeah.
Let's hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
Our table discussed how much we didn't like testing and our kids and how it affects them. So we started thinking about what other things could we look at? Would it be our graduation rate increases? Would it be keeping our teachers longer? The teachers here in our schools. There's some other things that we discussed about that. I mean, let's look at other measures besides so strict on the testing. I don't want to sound ignorant, but in a way, I get frustrated too when we're just teaching to that test to keep our school accountable, and it bothers me as a mom.
All right, thank you. Somebody else? Whether it's complying with how to apply, or whether it's, you have somebody there? Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you.
I think if we can, we can look at our youth, look at their happiness.
We can look at their happiness, we can look at the way the school is functioning. We're going to see what they do after school. We're going to see whether they go off to college, whether they become productive members in our community. And more importantly, we're going to see it in our community. We're going to see what happens with our, I saw somebody with their property values. Our community is going to be the ones where people are going to see, and these kids are learning, they are enjoying school, and they're productive, and we want to be part of that community. When you start seeing the community grow, it's a good indication of what our schools are doing.
Okay, thank you. Again, whether it's complying with how to apply or whether it's this community, I think there's going to be a trend. It looks like there's a trend developing where the state is starting to consider local communities setting some. I don't think it ever will be all the states will maintain interest in this. Some of it's on standard. So if that does happen, then that question is going to come to you: what as a community would we accept as a good measurement of that? And so that would take some discussion. You know, an illustration I like to use, I'll use it here, kind of give you an example of that. Was a few years ago, Commissioner Scott speaking to a large group of educators in Austin before he gave a speech. A high school orchestra was playing and did a beautiful performance of the symphony, and standing ovation. Everybody loved it. Commissioner Scott came out. And he said, wasn't that wonderful? Well, it turns out he ended up having his two children both for fine arts and music. And really had a big impact on the commission over the line. But at this time, he goes, that was a wonderful performance, wasn't it? He goes, I just wish we could figure out a way to measure that. Now, what do you think the measure was? What? It was a performance. And I think later, the Commissioner Scott would have recognized that. But, you know, I sat there listening to him. You just heard the measurement. It was the quality of the performance. Being able to play that music. Multiple choice again wouldn't be appropriate for that. I don't think, perhaps someone else might. All right. I appreciate your thought and time and the comments, both on the screen as well as here with the group. And your willingness to share. I just want to, once again, just very quickly talk about a process. There it is. I talked about the beginning. I won't go over it again, but I hope you've seen a little bit of the student focus and the importance of involving the community and getting your ideas. We talked a little bit about House Bill 5. That's going to continue to be a discussion. You can take advantage as a community and district with the kind of flexibility that House Bill 5 offers these days. But again, it's designed to be something that is decided as a community. And again, our process, we're still in that engage, collaborate process. In about a month, we'll move to design teams. Some of you hopefully will be involved in those groups that we establish to work on our vision, mission, goals, and finally action steps. And these are the dates that have been set up with the district. I'm not that transparent, you can see through me. That have been established by the district, when that's going to occur, and the final products will be brought to the board in January. That's the plan. We hope you continue to participate. We have a few people that came back tonight who were here in other meetings, and I appreciate that. And you can continue to do that yourself. You can take a survey if you want to, even though you've answered the questions here tonight to your responses. And I encourage you to invite your friends and neighbors to also participate. And with that, it's all about the kids and it's about the community. And I want to thank you for taking the time out tonight for coming here and working with us. And look forward to working with you over the next few months. Just great responses in these 3 summits. And incredible part of the community. And I think it's just great reasons for optimism. So please leave your response sheets on the table if you hand wrote those. And thanks again, and I wish you a good night and a great year. Thank you.
Hey.